The Awakening. In the vast expanse of the Martian desert, Dr. Elena Reyes stood motionless, her eyes fixed on the object before her. The wind whipped around her environmental suit, red dust stinging the visor, but she barely noticed. Her attention was entirely consumed by the alien artifact that jutted from the rusty soil like a metallic obelisk. "Elena, are you seeing this?" The voice of her colleague, Dr. Akira Tanaka, crackled through her helmet's comm system. "I'm seeing it, Akira," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I'm not sure I believe it." The artifact stood nearly 10 meters tall, its surface a mesmerizing swirl of iridescent patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. It was clearly not of human origin, nor was it a natural formation. This was something entirely new and entirely alien. As the reality of their discovery began to sink in, Elena felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation wash over her. This changed everything. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Over the next few weeks, the Martian research base buzzed with activity. Scientists from every discipline pored over the artifact, running tests and debating theories. Despite their best efforts, they could make little sense of its purpose or origin. The material it was made from defied analysis, and its inner workings remained a mystery. Then, on the 23rd day after its discovery, everything changed. Helena was in the research dome, poring over the latest sensor readings when an alarm blared through the facility. She rushed to the observation window, her heart pounding. The artifact was glowing, pulsing with an inner light that grew steadily brighter. "Everyone, clear the area," she shouted into her comm, even as she found herself moving closer to the window, unable to tear her eyes away. The light from the artifact intensified, becoming almost painfully bright. Then, in a flash that momentarily blinded everyone watching, a beam shot forth from its apex, straight up into the Martian sky. As their vision cleared, the scientists watched in awe as the beam seemed to punch a hole in reality itself. The sky above the artifact shimmered and distorted, and through this cosmic aperture they saw something else. A vista of unfamiliar stars, and in the foreground, a massive structure that could only be a space station of some kind. Before anyone could react, a voice filled their heads, not through their comms, but seemingly directly into their minds. "Greetings, children of Earth," the voice said, its tone warm and welcoming. "We have waited long for this day. You have found our beacon, and in doing so, have proven yourselves ready to join the greater galactic community. We are the Astrea, custodians of the Galactic Council. We invite you to step forth into a larger universe." The implications of this message were staggering. Not only was humanity not alone, but there was an entire galactic civilization waiting to welcome them. The news spread like wildfire across Mars and back to Earth. Governments convened emergency sessions, religious leaders sought to interpret this new reality, and the public alternated between celebration and panic. In the midst of this chaos, a decision was made. Humanity would accept the invitation. A team was hastily assembled, a mix of scientists, diplomats, and military personnel, to make first contact and represent Earth in this new cosmic forum. Elena found herself chosen as part of this historic mission. As she stood before the artifact, preparing to step through the portal to another world, she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. This was humanity's great leap, their step into a vast and unknown future. "Are we ready for this?" Akira asked, standing beside her at the threshold of the unknown. Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself. Ready or not, it's time for humanity to take its place among the stars. With those words, they stepped forward, passing through the shimmering portal. In an instant, they were transported across unimaginable distances, emerging into a vast, gleaming docking bay within the space station they had glimpsed through the portal. Before them stood a group of beings unlike anything they had ever seen. Tall, ethereal creatures with luminescent skin and eyes that seemed to hold the depth of galaxies. These were the Astrea, their welcoming committee to the galactic stage. One of the Astrea stepped forward, its movements graceful and fluid. "Welcome, representatives of Earth," it said, its voice resonating in their minds, just as it had through the artifact. "We are honored to receive you in the Hall of Confluence, the seat of the Galactic Council." Elena, finding her voice, stepped forward. "On behalf of humanity, we thank you for this invitation. We come in peace and with an eager desire to learn." The Astrea's eyes seemed to twinkle with something akin to amusement. "Peace and learning are noble goals, young ones. But know this, the universe is vast and not always kind. You will find wonders beyond your imagining, but also challenges that will test the very core of your being." As if to emphasize this point, a holographic display sprang to life around them, showing images of diverse alien species, breathtaking celestial phenomena, but also scenes of conflict and strife playing out on distant worlds. "Humanity stands at a crossroads," the Astrea continued. "The path ahead will not be easy, but we believe you have the potential to bring something unique to our galactic family. Your history is one of struggle and triumph, of great cruelty, but also great compassion. It is our hope that you will learn from both our wisdom and our mistakes." Elena and her teammates exchanged glances, the magnitude of the moment not lost on any of them. They were standing at the threshold of a new era for humanity, one filled with both promise and peril. "We are ready to learn," Elena said, her voice firm with resolve. "And we are ready to contribute. Humanity has much to offer, and much to gain from this new relationship." The Astrea nodded, a gesture surprisingly human-like. "Then let us begin. The Galactic Council awaits, and with it, the next chapter in the story of your species." As they were led deeper into the station, towards the council chambers where representatives of 1,000 worlds awaited them, Elena couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, but what challenges and wonders awaited them? Only time would tell. The journey that began with a simple discovery in the Martian desert was about to explode into an adventure across the cosmos. Humanity, with all its strengths and flaws, was about to make its mark on the galactic stage. The awakening had begun, and there would be no turning back. The Crucible. 5 years had passed since humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council. In that time, Earth had undergone a transformation unlike any in its history. The influx of advanced alien technologies had revolutionized every aspect of human society, from energy production to medicine. Faster-than-light travel, once the stuff of science fiction, was now commonplace, and humanity had begun to establish colonies on distant worlds. But not all was peaceful in the cosmic neighborhood. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Endeavour, Earth's most advanced warship, staring at the holographic display before her. A sea of red indicators represented the Vreen, an aggressive insectoid species that had been terrorizing the outer rim of Council space for months. "Status report," Chen barked, her eyes never leaving the display. Her XO, Commander Dmitry Volkov, stepped forward. "The Vreen fleet has breached the defenses of Novus Prima, Admiral. The colony's shields are failing. Council forces are en route, but they won't arrive for another 6 hours." Chen's jaw tightened. Novus Prima was one of humanity's first extrasolar colonies, home to over 1 million people. They didn't have 6 hours. "What about the other Council species in the sector?" she asked, already knowing the answer. Volkov shook his head. "The Tellurians are dealing with an ion storm in their home system. The Zinthar are too far out. We're the only ones close enough to respond in time." Chen nodded, a plan already forming in her mind. It was risky, unconventional, and would likely ruffle some feathers back on Earth and in the Council. But she hadn't become the youngest admiral in Earth's new space fleet by playing it safe. "All right, people, listen up," she announced, her voice carrying across the bridge. "We're going in. The Vreen have never encountered humans in combat before. Let's show them why that was a mistake." As the crew sprang into action, Chen couldn't help but reflect on the irony of the situation. Humanity had been welcomed into the galactic community with open arms, praised for their creativity and adaptability. But it was their capacity for warfare, the very thing that had made some council species wary of them, that was now desperately needed. The Endeavour dropped out of hyperspace on the edge of the Novus Prima system, immediately assaulted by the chaos of the ongoing battle. The Vreen ships, organic-looking monstrosities that seemed more like spaceborne insects than vessels, swarmed around the beleaguered human colony. "Launch fighters," Chen ordered. "Have them focus on protecting the colony. Helm, bring us in close to that command ship. Weapons, prepare to fire on my mark." The ship surged forward, its advanced engines pushing it to speeds that would have been impossible just a few years ago. As they closed in on the massive Vreen command ship, Chen felt a familiar rush of adrenaline. This was what humans did best, facing impossible odds and finding a way to prevail. "Now," Chen shouted. The Endeavour's main cannon fired, a lance of energy so bright it momentarily outshone the system's star. It struck the Vreen ship dead center, punching through its organic armor like tissue paper. The massive vessel shuddered, secondary explosions rippling across its surface. But the Vreen weren't about to go down without a fight. They turned their attention to the Endeavour, a swarm of smaller ships peeling off to attack. "Evasive maneuvers," Chen ordered. "Rotate shield frequencies. They adapt quickly. Don't let them get a lock on our defenses." The bridge shook as Vreen energy weapons impacted their shields. Chen gripped her command chair, her mind racing. The Vreen's hive mind made them incredibly coordinated, able to adapt their tactics faster than any individual commander could respond, but it also made them predictable in certain ways. "Dmitri," she called out, "remember that old Earth strategy game you're always going on about? Chess." Volkov looked at her, puzzled. "Yes, Admiral. What about it?" A grim smile spread across Chen's face. "Sometimes, to win, you have to sacrifice your queen. Helm, plot a collision course with the Vreen command ship. Weapons, divert all power to forward shields and our main gun. We're going to punch right through the heart of their fleet." The crew stared at her in shock for a moment before snapping into action. The Endeavour turned, accelerating toward the massive alien vessel. "Admiral," the comms officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the Vreen." Chen's eyebrows shot up. This was unprecedented. The Vreen had never attempted communication before. "On screen," she ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, showing a being that looked like a cross between an insect and a supercomputer. Its multifaceted eyes seemed to study Chen intently. "Human," the creature's voice buzzed through the speakers. "You fight with great skill, but you cannot hope to defeat us. Surrender now, and we will make your absorption into the hive painless." Chen stood, facing the screen. "I have a counter-offer," she said, her voice steady. "Withdraw from this system immediately, or we'll show you just how much pain humans can endure and inflict before we go down." The Vreen commander chittered, a sound that might have been laughter. "You would destroy yourselves in a futile attack. Illogical, inefficient." "That's humanity for you," Chen replied with a grim smile. "With anything but predictable, end transmission." As the screen went dark, Chen turned to her crew. "All hands, brace for impact. We're going through them one way or another." The Endeavour plowed forward, its shields straining against the onslaught of Vreen weapons. But as they drew closer to the command ship, something unexpected happened. The Vreen vessels began to break formation, pulling back. "They're retreating," Volkov said, disbelief evident in his voice. "All of them. They're jumping to hyperspace." Chen watched as the Vreen fleet disappeared, leaving behind only the debris of their destroyed ships. She let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "Status of Novus Prima," she asked. "They've taken heavy damage, Admiral, but they'll survive," the sensor officer reported. "Our fighters are already assisting with emergency repairs." Chen nodded, allowing herself a small smile. They'd done it. Against all odds, they'd driven off an enemy that had been terrorizing the sector for months. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Chen realized the full implications of what had just transpired. Humanity had just fought its first interstellar battle and won. Their actions here would ripple across the galaxy. Some would celebrate their bravery, their willingness to stand up for others. But others would look at the battle footage and see something else. They would see the humans' ruthless efficiency, their willingness to risk everything for victory. The comms officer's voice broke through her thoughts. "Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from Earth and the Galactic Council. They're asking a lot of questions." Chen sighed, straightening her uniform. The battle might be over, but the real challenge was just beginning. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage, showcasing both their martial prowess and their commitment to protecting others. But in doing so, they had also revealed a side of themselves that might make some of their new galactic neighbors uncomfortable. As she prepared to face the barrage of inquiries and likely concerns from Earth and the Council, Chen couldn't shake the feeling that this victory, as crucial as it was, might have far-reaching consequences for humanity's place in the galaxy. They had passed through their first cosmic crucible, but many more trials lay ahead. The Endeavour set a course for Earth, leaving behind a saved colony, a defeated enemy, and a galaxy that would never look at humanity quite the same way again. The Schism. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with tension. Representatives from 100 different species filled the tiered seats, their murmurs creating a cacophony of alien languages. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Zara Patel, Earth's representative to the Council, her face a mask of calm despite the storm she knew was brewing. "Order, we shall have order." The booming voice of Arch-Councillor Exile, a towering being of crystalline structure, echoed through the chamber. As the noise died down, Xylos fixed his multifaceted gaze on Zara. "Ambassador Patel, you have been called to address the Council regarding the recent incidents involving human forces." Zara took a deep breath, stepping forward. "Honored members of the Council, I thank you for this opportunity to speak. The events of the past year have indeed been tumultuous, but I assure you that humanity's intentions remain as they have always been, to be a productive and cooperative member of the galactic community." A ripple of disagreement passed through the chamber. From her left, a gelatinous being oozed forward, its translator device crackling to life. Productive. Cooperative. Was it cooperation we witnessed when human forces unilaterally engaged the Vreen, violating Council protocols and escalating a contained conflict into a sector-wide war? Zara turned to face the speaker, recognizing Blob, the rather unimaginatively nicknamed representative of the Morphs. "Councillor, with all due respect, the Vreen threat was far from contained. Had the UES Endeavour not intervened at Novus Prima, millions of lives, both human and non-human, would have been lost." "And what of the Zygon incident?" Another voice called out, this one belonging to an avian being with iridescent feathers. "Human peacekeepers used banned sonic weapons against civilian protesters." "An unfortunate misunderstanding," Zara countered, fighting to keep her voice level. "The weapons were deployed against what our forces believed to be hostile combatants. As soon as the error was discovered, all such weapons were immediately decommissioned, and we offered full reparations to those affected." The chamber erupted into arguments once more, accusations flying from all corners. Zara stood her ground, fielding questions and refuting allegations as best she could. But with each passing moment, she could feel the mood of the Council turning against her, against humanity. After what felt like hours, Arch-Councillor Xylos raised a crystalline appendage, silencing the room. "It is clear that this matter requires further deliberation. The Council will recess and reconvene in 3 standard cycles. Until then, all human military operations beyond Earth's solar system are hereby suspended." Zara opened her mouth to protest, but a warning look from Xylos silenced her. As the Council members filed out of the chamber, she couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had shifted. The warm welcome humanity had received upon joining the galactic community had cooled considerably. Outside the Council chambers, Zora was approached by Clix, her Astrea liaison. The ethereal being's eyes swirled with concern. "That could have gone better," Clix said, its mental voice tinged with worry. Zora sighed, allowing her diplomatic mask to slip for a moment. "They're afraid of us, aren't they?" Clix's luminescent skin pulsed in patterns that Zora had learned to recognize as discomfort. "Fear is not an inaccurate assessment. Many species find humanity's rapid advancement and martial prowess unsettling." "We've only ever acted in defense of ourselves and others," Zora argued. "The Vreen, the Zirgon uprising, the hegemony's attempted annexation of the Tau Ceti colonies. In each case, we stepped in because no one else would." "I understand, Zora," Clix replied softly. "But you must understand how it appears to others. In just a few short years, humanity has developed technology that took other species centuries to master. Your ships are now among the most formidable in the galaxy, and your soldiers—" Clix paused, its glow dimming slightly. "There are whispers that humans possess a capacity for violence that exceeds even the Vreen." Zora felt a chill run down her spine. "That's ridiculous. We're not warmongers. We're explorers, scientists, diplomats." "And warriors," Clix interjected. "It is part of who you are. A path that some find admirable and others find terrifying." Before Zora could respond, her comm device buzzed. It was an encrypted message from Earth Command. As she read it, her face paled. "What is it?" Clix asked, sensing her distress. Zora looked up, her eyes wide. "A Vreen Hive fleet has been detected on a direct course for the Sol system. They'll reach Earth in less than a week." Clix's glow pulsed rapidly, the Astrea equivalent of alarm. "But the Council just ordered all human military operations suspended." "Exactly," Zora said grimly. "We're supposed to sit back and wait for Council deliberations while an invasion force bears down on our homeworld." For a moment, neither spoke, the weight of the situation hanging heavy between them. "What will you do?" Clix finally asked. Zora straightened, her resolve hardening. "What we've always done. We'll fight, with or without the Council's blessing." She turned on her heel, striding purposefully toward the Earth Embassy. There were calls to make, plans to set in motion. Humanity was about to defy the Galactic Council, potentially burning bridges it had spent years building. But they had no choice. The alternative was unthinkable. As news of the impending Vreen attack spread, Earth's colonies and outposts began mobilizing. Ships were recalled, defenses were fortified, and emergency protocols were enacted. The fledgling human stellar empire was preparing for the fight of its life. Admiral Chen, hailed as a hero after the Battle of Novus Prima, found herself in command of Earth's combined fleet. As she stood on the bridge of her new flagship, the UES Defiant, she couldn't help but feel a grim sense of déjà vu. "Status report," she barked, eyeing the holographic display of the Sol system. "All ships accounted for," Admiral Commander Volkov, now head chief of staff, reported. "The lunar defense grid is online, and Mars base is standing by with reinforcements." Chen nodded, her mind racing through strategies and contingencies. The Vreen would outnumber them significantly, but humanity had home field advantage and a desperate determination to protect their cradle world. As the hours ticked by, tension mounted. The Council, true to form, remained mired in debate. A few species offered support. The warrior poet Zen-3 pledged a squadron of their swift attack craft, and the silicon-based Quartzians provided advanced shield harmonics. But the bulk of the Council's vast military power remained frustratingly idle. Then, mere hours before the Vreen were due to arrive, a new complication arose. A massive Council peacekeeping fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. "We're being hailed," the comms officer announced. Chen gritted her teeth. On screen, the image of Arch-Councilor Xios appeared, his crystalline form glittering against the backdrop of his command ship. "Admiral Chen," he intoned, By order of the Galactic Council, you are instructed to stand down and allow our peacekeeping force to handle this incursion. Chen's eyes narrowed. With all due respect, Arch-Counselor, we will do no such thing. This is our home, and we will defend it. Your defiance of Council orders has not gone unnoticed, Admiral, Xylos warned. There will be consequences. There'll be no consequences if the Vreem wipe us out, Chen shot back. We're staying right here. As the transmission cut off, Volkov leaned in close. What now, Admiral? Chen's gaze remained fixed on the spot where Xylos' image had been. Now we remind the galaxy why humanity has survived every calamity our homeworld has thrown at us. We fight. No sooner had she spoken than alarms blared across the fleet. The Vreen had arrived. What followed was a battle that would be remembered for centuries to come. The Vreen attacked with all the force and fury that had made them the scourge of the Outer Rim, but they found themselves faced with an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. Human ships darted and weaved through the Vreen formations, their tactics unpredictable and ever-changing. When the Vreen adapted to one strategy, the humans would switch to another. Earth's fighters swarmed like angry hornets, their pilots pulling off maneuvers that their alien counterparts found impossible to replicate. And through it all, the Council peacekeeping fleet watched, held back by bureaucratic indecision and the sheer shock of what they were witnessing. Hours passed, and slowly, improbably, the tide began to turn. The Vreen's numbers advantage began to wane as more and more of their ships fell to human ingenuity and determination. As the battle reached its crescendo, Admiral Chen saw an opportunity. All ships, focus fire on the Vreen flagship, she ordered. Let's cut the head off this snake. The combined firepower of the human fleet converged on a single point, overwhelming the massive Vreen vessel's defenses. As it exploded in a spectacular burst of light and debris, the remaining Vreen ships fell into disarray. Without their queen to guide them, they retreated, jumping to hyperspace and leaving the Sol system as quickly as they had come. In the aftermath of the battle, as damage reports flooded in and the adrenaline began to fade, the full weight of what had transpired began to sink in. Humanity had not only survived but triumphed against overwhelming odds, and they had done so in open defiance of the Galactic Council. As Chen looked out at the debris-strewn space around Earth, she felt a mixture of pride and apprehension. They had saved their homeworld, proved their worth as a spacefaring species, but in doing so, they had also likely forever altered their relationship with the galactic community. The Defiance comm system crackled to life once more. It was Ambassador Petal, her face a mixture of relief and worry. Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from across Council space. They're varied. Some are congratulating us on our victory. Others are calling for sanctions, even our expulsion from the Council. Chen nodded grimly. And so it begins. The real battle. As the Sol system began the process of recovery, the political fallout of the battle was only just beginning to unfold. Humanity had crossed a line, and the galaxy would never be the same. The age of innocence was over. The true test of humanity's place among the stars was about to begin. The Exile. The great hall of the United Earth Government was filled to capacity. A sea of grim faces turned towards the central podium. Prime Minister Yuki Tanaka stood before them, her usually immaculate appearance showing signs of strain. The weight of recent events hung heavy in the air. My fellow citizens, she began, her voice carrying across the hushed room, today, I must inform you of a decision that will shake the course of human history. She paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. As of 800 hours this morning, Earth Standard Time, the Galactic Council has officially suspended humanity's membership and ordered our immediate withdrawal from all Council-controlled space. A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. Tanaka raised a hand, calling for silence. I know this news comes as a shock to many of you. Our victory against the Vreen, while necessary for our survival, has been viewed by many in the Council as an act of dangerous aggression. Despite our best diplomatic efforts, the majority of Council species have voted in favor of our isolation. On a screen behind her, footage began to play. It showed human ships being escorted out of alien starbases, Earth embassies on distant worlds being shuttered, and tearful goodbyes between humans and alien friends and colleagues. We have been given one standard galactic year to recall all of our citizens and vessels from Council space, Tanaka continued. After that time, any human found outside of our designated zone will be subject to immediate arrest and deportation. The Prime Minister's eyes swept across the room, meeting the shocked and angry gazes of her fellow humans. I want to be clear. This is not the end of humanity's journey among the stars. We will continue to explore, to expand, to push the boundaries of what is possible. But for now, we must do so alone. As Tanaka's speech concluded, the hall erupted into chaos. Questions were shouted, protests were voiced, and more than a few tears were shed. The dream of galactic unity that had driven humanity for the past decade had been shattered. Thousands of light-years away, aboard the massive space station that served as the headquarters for the Galactic Council, Ambassador Zara Patel was packing up her office. As she carefully wrapped a delicate sculpture gifted to her by the Zen 3 ambassador, a familiar mental voice reached out to her. I had hoped it wouldn't come to this, Click said, the Astraea's luminescent form hovering in the doorway. Zara managed a sad smile. That makes two of us, old friend. Clix floated into the room, its glow dimmed with sorrow. You must understand, many on the council are simply afraid. Humanity's rapid advancement, your martial prowess, it reminds some of the ancient precursors. Zara's eyebrows shot up. The precursors were a mythical race, said to have ruled the galaxy eons ago, before mysteriously vanishing. Surely they don't think we're... No, Clix interrupted. But the parallels are unsettling to some. Your potential, both for great good and great destruction, is immense. The Council fears what you might become. Zara sighed, sinking into her chair. So they cast us out, push us away. Don't they realize that isolation will only make us more alien to them? More unpredictable? Clix's form rippled, a gesture Zara had come to recognize as agreement. Some of us argued this very point. But fear, as you humans say, is rarely rational. As the two old friends shared a moment of silent understanding, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Zara jumped to her feet. What's happening? Click's glow pulsed rapidly. I'm not sure. Let me check. The Astraea fell silent for a moment, communing with the station's information network. When it spoke again, its mental voice was tinged with disbelief. It's the Vreen. They're back. And not just a high fleet this time. It's an armada. Larger than anything we've ever seen. Zara felt her blood run cold. Where are they headed? Click's answer confirmed her worst fears. Everywhere. They're launching simultaneous attacks across Council space. It's an all-out invasion. Over the next few hours, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Vreen, seemingly driven to new heights of aggression by their defeat at Earth, had launched a massive, coordinated assault on multiple fronts. Council worlds burned, defensive fleets were scattered, and millions were being taken for absorption into the hive. In an emergency session of the Council, panic reigned. The vaunted peacekeeping fleets, spread thin across too many fronts, were being overwhelmed. Species that had known nothing but peace for generations found themselves facing extinction. And through it all, humanity watched from the sidelines, officially barred from intervening. Back on Earth, Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her face grim as she delivered her report. The Vreen offensive is unlike anything we've seen before, she explained, gesturing to a holographic map of the galaxy. They're not just raiding. This is a full-scale invasion, aimed at nothing less than total galactic domination. One of the counselors, an older man with a scarred face, leaned forward. And how does this concern us, Admiral? The Council made it clear we're no longer welcome in their affairs. Chen's eyes flashed. With all due respect, Counselor, this concerns us because we're next. Once the Vreen finish with the Council worlds, Do you think they'll simply ignore us? We bloodied their nose once. They won't forget that. Prime Minister Tanaka, presiding over the meeting, raised a hand. What are you suggesting, Admiral? That we violate the Council's edict, start a war on two fronts? Chen took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. Madam Prime Minister, honored councillors, I'm suggesting we do what humanity has always done best. We adapt, we overcome, and we prove to the galaxy that we're better than they think we are. She tapped a control, and the holographic display changed, showing a complex series of tactical simulations. I propose Operation Firestorm, a series of lightning strikes against key Vreen positions, coordinated with the remaining Council forces. We can turn the tide of this war. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. What Chen was proposing was nothing less than a complete defiance of the Council's ruling, a unilateral re-entry into galactic affairs that could have far-reaching consequences. Finally, Tanaka spoke. And if we do this, Admiral, if we save them, what then? Chen's reply was immediate and firm. Then we will have done what's right, and will have shown the galaxy exactly who and what humanity is. Not conquerors, not barbarians, but protectors. It's time we lived up to our potential. The debate raged for hours, arguments for and against intervention flying back and forth. But in the end, the decision was made. Humanity would fight. As shipyards across the Sol system rolled to life and long-dormant military installations were reactivated, a message was broadcast across all known frequencies, in every language known to the galactic community. To all sentient beings fighting for survival against the Vreen threat, help is coming. Hold the line. Humanity stands with you. Across the galaxy, on worlds battered by the Vreen onslaught, the message was received. In the council chambers, stunned silence gave way to heated debate. And in the depths of space, the Vreen Armada continued its relentless advance, unaware that a new player was about to enter the game. As the human fleet prepared to depart, Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching as ships of all sizes formed up around them. This was it, the moment that would define humanity's place in the cosmos. All ships report ready, Admiral, Volkov announced. Chen nodded, her gaze fixed on the stars ahead. Send the word to all captains. Operation Firestorm is go. Let's remind the galaxy why you don't corner a species that invented the Hail Mary. With a flash of energy, the human fleet jumped to hyperspace, racing to the defense of a galaxy that had rejected them. The exile was over. The real test of humanity's spirit was about to begin. The return. The vast emptiness of space erupted into chaos as the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace. Before them lay the Vreen Armada, a writhing mass of biomechanical ships surrounding the besieged Galactic Council capital world, Harmonious Prime. Admiral Sarah Chen's voice rang out across the fleet comm channels. All ships engage as planned. Remember, we're not just fighting for humanity today. We're fighting for every sentient being in this galaxy. Let's show them what we're made of. The battle that ensued would be remembered for generations to come. Human ships, outnumbered but not outgunned, tore into the Vreen formations with a ferocity that shocked even their allies. Fighters darted between capital ships, their pilots pulling off maneuvers that defied the laws of physics. On the ground, human marines deployed in drop pods, turning the tide of battles that had seemed all but lost. From the bridge of the UES Defiant, Chen orchestrated the chaos, her mind racing through strategies and counter-strategies. Battlegroup Theta, push through their left flank. Epsilon Squadron, I need you to take out those heavy cruisers. Volkov, get me a line to the Council Defense Fleet. As the battle raged, news of humanity's intervention spread across the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds, beings of all species watched in awe as the humans they had exiled now fought tooth and nail to save them. In the council chambers on Harmonious Prime, the mood shifted from despair to cautious hope. Arch-Councillor Xylos, his crystalline form scarred from a recent Vreen attack, turned to the few remaining council members. It seems, he said, his voice tinged with a mixture of relief and embarrassment, that we may have been hasty in our judgment of the humans. Clicks, the Australia representative, pulsed with agreement. They fight not just with strength, but with a passion I have never witnessed. Perhaps this is what we needed all along, a species willing to stand against the darkness, no matter the cost. As the hours wore on, the tide of battle began to turn. The Vreen, for all their numbers and ferocity, found themselves outmaneuvered and outfought at every turn. Their hive mind, once their greatest strength, became a liability as human unpredictability threw their carefully coordinated attacks into disarray. But victory would not come without cost. Human ships, their shields depleted and hulls breached, made desperate last stands to protect civilian populations. On the ground, Marines fought to their last breath, holding vital choke points against overwhelming odds. In the final push, Admiral Chen saw her opportunity. All ships, focus fire on the Vreen Queen ship. Battle Group Omega, prepare for ramming speed. Admiral, Volkov protested, Omega Group won't survive that attack run. Chen's face was grim but determined. They know the stakes, Commander. We all do. As the main fleet provided covering fire, Battle Group Omega, led by the battle-scarred UES Intrepid, accelerated towards the massive Vreen Queen ship. Point defense systems fired desperately, swatting human ships from the sky, but they pressed on, unrelenting. The Intrepid, flames trailing from a dozen hull breaches, slammed into the Queen ship's command center. The resulting explosion lit up the sky like a new sun, and for a moment, all combat seemed to pause. Then, like puppets with their strings cut, the Vreen ships began to drift. Without the Queen to guide them, the hive fell into confusion and disarray. All ships pressed the advantage. Chen ordered, her voice hoarse with emotion. Don't let their sacrifice be in vain. What followed was not so much a battle as a rout. The remaining Vreen ships were quickly dispatched or fled into deep space. As the dust settled, the full scale of what had transpired began to sink in. Humanity, the exiles, the ones deemed too dangerous to be part of galactic society, had just saved it from annihilation. In the days that followed, as the galaxy began the long process of rebuilding, Earth's communicators were flooded with messages. Gratitude, apologies, and pleas for renewed cooperation poured in from every corner of known space. On Harmonious Prime, in a hastily convened emergency session of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Zara Patel once again stood before the assembled representatives. But this time, the atmosphere could not have been more. Arch-Councillor Exile stepped forward, his crystalline form gleaming under the chamber lights. Ambassador Patel, he began, his tone formal but warm. On behalf of the Galactic Council and all sentient beings in this galaxy, I extend our deepest gratitude to humanity. Your bravery, your sacrifice, and your unwavering commitment to the greater good have humbled us all. A ripple of agreement passed through the chamber. Zios continued, we also offer our most sincere apologies. Our fear and misunderstanding led us to commit a grave injustice against your people. We can only hope that you will find it in your hearts to forgive us. Zara stood tall, her gaze sweeping across the assembled aliens. So many faces, so many forms, all united in this moment. Arch-Councillor, honored representatives, she began, humanity accepts your gratitude and your apology. But more importantly, we accept the opportunity to move forward together. She paused, allowing her words to sink in. We are not perfect. We have our flaws, our capacity for violence, our stubbornness. But we also have an unshakable desire to explore, to learn, to grow. We don't want to conquer the galaxy. We want to be a part of it, to contribute to it, to help shape a future where all sentient beings can thrive. The chamber erupted in applause. Species that had once viewed humans with suspicion now cheered them as heroes. It was a new beginning, a chance to rewrite the story of humanity's place among the stars. As the formal proceedings concluded, Zara found herself approached by Clicks. The Australia's glow was brighter than she had ever seen it. You have done it, my friend, Click said, its mental voice filled with warmth. You have shown the galaxy the true heart of humanity. Zara smiled, feeling the weight of recent events finally beginning to lift. We all did it, Clicks. Together. That's the point, isn't it? We're stronger united than we ever could be alone. As they stood there, watching the diverse crowd of galactic representatives mingle and talk excitedly about the future, Zara couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had been tested, exiled, and very nearly destroyed. But they had emerged stronger, wiser, and more united, not just with each other, but with the galaxy as a whole. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges to face, prejudices to overcome, and wounds to heal. But for the first time since humanity had taken its first steps into the cosmic community, there was a sense of true belonging. As news of the Council's decision reached Earth, celebrations erupted across the planet and its colonies. Humanity was coming home, not just to the galactic community, but to its rightful place as defenders of peace and catalysts for progress. Admiral Chen, watching the festivities from the observation deck of the Defiant, felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to find Volkov, holding 2 glasses of champagne. "A toast, Admiral," he offered, handing her a glass. Chen nodded, a rare smile crossing her face. "What shall we drink to, Commander?" Volkov thought for a moment, then raised his glass. "To humanity, may we always strive to be better than we were yesterday." Chen clinked her glass against his. "And to the galaxy, may it always challenge us to live up to our potential."